All right, it's official.
Official.
Good afternoon. Where's this Plano West Rotary? I'm Glenn Thornton. Alex, for some reason, asked me to sub in today since I think work got in the way with Alex. So he'll be watching us later. I see other people coming in. Hey, LaShawn, sorry. Well, to get us started, I'm going to turn it over to our sergeant here, Mike Walker, and we'll see if there's some brags to go on. Let's brag a little bit.
All right. We'll just start, Zane, I always start with you.
Yeah.
You got a brag for us today?
Yeah. I finished my midterms last week, so that was nice to get them over with.
Oh, yeah, that's got to be some relief. Fred, how about you? Did you finish your midterm exams?
No, I flunked it. No, I just want to brag on how interesting it is to work in the Douglas community, especially meeting James' sons and seeing Benton out there and his smile on his face and everything. But no, the weather was great, and you know, you got a lot of people and they can really knock it out real fast and everything. But it's a pleasure doing that. And selfishly, I enjoy doing it because I think Daniel really enjoys doing it too, and he needs to learn. It's good to give back and everything, so we have a good time doing it.
Between Daniel and Scott, we've got it covered, man. Those two are horses.
Isn't that the truth? Wow.
All right. Well, Benton, you ever brag today?
Yeah, my son started work today.
What was
Thank
it?
you.
Good horse and went to work for a brewery.
I'd go visit quite often.
I'd say it's a really good one too.
Thanks. Sean, you ever brag this morning?
I do. I just spoke with my daughter. She and her fiance just completed the closing on their home, and they are now homeowners.
Oh, that's great.
So excited for them.
That's a great brag. Thank you.
Now, they sent out the property taxes today.
She was just telling me about that part of the stage. She said, now, Mom, I said, well, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that comes with homeownership. There is that.
Thank you, LaShawn. Jan, do you ever brag for us this morning? Jan, there you go.
I'm here. I had to unmute. I had too many dogs in my photo here. I just want to brag on your club. You guys have done an unbelievable amount of service this year. I just have been really impressed. I've wanted to come to a couple of them, but just things haven't permitted it, and we're staying pretty close to home, but with all the COVID stuff. But your club has just really been impressive, and I applaud you for that.
Thank you. That's good leadership. Mr. Frankenfield, do you have a brag this morning?
Well, not much, but I do thank the good Lord for some great fall weather in Texas here. Good place to live right now.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Thank you. Glenn, you want to give us a brag?
Sure. I was talking earlier before we started this, but just to echo what Fred said, we had a great time last Saturday at the Douglas community with the meal delivery. In my mind, I counted 11 members and then just a lot of volunteers. Some of our new members too was there, Erica and Roxana. And as Fred said, we cranked it out. We had 130 something boxes of food plus gallon milk and cars lined up, and we load them up and they deliver them, and it worked out really well. So it's a great project for a great cause, and we've had great turnout and we've had great weather, so it's been good.
Thank you. I see your wife's zoomed in. Michelle, you ever brag?
You're muted. You're mute.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I just got to keep bragging and getting the word out about our Halloween event, which is a week from tomorrow. You know, we usually have the big Halloween party and we are in person, and we can't do that because of COVID. So Lisa has done a great job of helping us coordinate with North Texas Pioneers. And so I just sent out the Sign Up Genius today. So you guys should have that in your inbox. And We really could use people donating some either wine, homemade bakery items, and even auction. We're going to do like a non-auction items. So I think Lisa might have some Cuban cigars that'll be for sale.
Yeah, I do. I got some, I don't know where, Cayman Islands or something. I didn't get it from Cuba this time. I got it from the Cayman Islands, but I have the Cuban cigars, and we're asking for everyone to donate a bottle of wine valued at, what did we decide, Michelle? Like 10 or more. And then some of the, does everyone know what a wine pool is here? Does anyone not know what a wine pool is?
Explain it for us.
Okay,
Well,
so
it could be better.
what's that, Mike? What'd you say, Mike?
A picture would be better.
Well, I'm sorry, but I just got back from a walk, and I looked at my hair, and I'm like, nope, not going on camera like that. My hair is sticking straight up. Anyhow, so basically you put all of the wine that's donated gets put into an individual bag and stapled. So the wine pull is when you come to Greek Isle next Wednesday. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So yeah, it'll be in a wine bag, and then you pay $20, and you basically take a bag, and then you get the wine that's in the wine bag. So we've done this every year for the past several years, but you'll be able to do the wine pull and pick up your dinner. If you can just sign up ahead of time what you want. There's 3 different choices for the meals, and they're $20 for dinner. And then we're also going to have bake items for a set price. So you can have wine, dinner, and dessert. You can, if you're worried about COVID, we're going to be set up outside, and you can just come and pick your wine, and your meal will be ready for you to take home. And then there's going to be a
Lisa?
Yeah.
When we bring the wine, do we need to bring it in the bag, or do you all already have the wine bags?
Either way.
Yeah, either way
Either
is
way?
fine.
Okay.
We will find the bags, before, and we staple them shut, and we have a table full of them. And then we also were asking for baked items. So I'm gonna probably make a chocolate pie.
Clarence is going to make something figgy.
Biggie, yeah. Oh wait, we're gonna have the pecans. Glenn, your pecans.
Yeah. Do it.
Yeah.
Let me get through these brags here, if I can.
Huh?
So I got.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm taking too long.
No, that's fine.
I'll be quiet.
No, I like to see that.
All right, Mike.
Mr. Posey, do you ever brag this morning?
Need to unmute, Tom. We can see your hat.
I'm not sure. He's still, maybe I'll go on to Ike, waiting for Tom to unclick. Ike, do you ever brag? Oh, Tom, there you go. You ever brag?
Okay. Yes. We went to Mayo Clinic for a checkup a couple of weeks ago. Did some MRI work on my bride. Didn't come out like we wanted it to, so we go back in 2 weeks, hopefully with good results.
Okay. Our prayers are with you on that. Thanks for sharing that. Ike, do you ever brag this morning?
Yes, hello. I just sent a couple of links to the chat. So it took Hendrick's Scholarship Organization Foundation some time to, process the application. People had moved. But anyways, it got approved. And I've been assigned a student, still have yet to speak to him. And then also I'm running this group. It's in the chat. Dallas Coping with Narcissist Partner or Spouse. And we have 299 members. Hopefully next time it'll be 300. Well, it's 300 including me, but that'll be cheating.
Thank you.
So send over anybody who's interested in joining this group. Obviously it's free, and you can check it out.
Hey, thank you. I've been notified, these aren't morning brags, these are afternoon brags. So Roxana, do you ever afternoon brag for us today?
Well, last weekend, when we went to the Liver Foods to the Douglas community, my daughter came and she talked about it all weekend. And so she was really happy. And I was happy too. We're gonna do it again.
Thank you very much. Let's see, Randall, do you ever brag?
Well, I guess first I would like to continue with someone else that mentioned the weather. So I'm glad to see the weather being so nice. And I want to brag on the club for your work this past Saturday. Unfortunately, I was unable to join, but want to brag on the club for doing such a great job in the Douglas community this weekend.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Lawton,
Yes, sir.
you got a brag for us this afternoon?
Yeah, couple. First of all, I would like to disagree with these statements about the weather. It's not hot and it's not cold. It's just right. And that doesn't. Number two, the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
They hit self-employed. Boom.
Yeah, they may be some opportunity there if you're a good defensive player looking for a job.
And I guess a true brag is the baseball playoffs at our new stadium in Arlington that the Rangers never got to actually have any people watch them play this year. They had season tickets and didn't get to go at all. Thank you, COVID.
Hey, thanks, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Nicole, do you ever brag for us this afternoon?
I do. I actually finally went through my closet and rearranged and cleaned it out. And I got, I believe, 12 to 13 pairs of shoes that I took to Greek Isles.
Thank you.
Thank you. Clarence, how about you? You got a brag?
Oh, yes, I'd like to brag on my good SMU team who did quite well last weekend, and also by defeating Tulane. And then before that, they defeated Temple. And I'm sorry to tell you, Jim, I guess you watched the game, right? Frankenfield?
Yes, I did.
Up in the big stand, up high up?
Well, my daughter went to Tulane, so I had mixed emotions.
Yay, Tulane.
You saw the Temple game, didn't you?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're glad to be ahead this year.
Thank you. Camille, you ever brag this afternoon?
I'm glad to be able to join you guys back and forth in the office. And so it's good to see everyone's face again. So, hey, everyone. I miss y'all.
Good to see you. Let's see, Mr. Acting President, I think I've gotten everybody. So it's back to you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good brags. Okay, as we get started today, I'm going to turn it over to LaShawn, and she's going to lead us in a prayer.
You all would join me in prayer, please. Lord, thank you for this opportunity for us to come together and bring all of our resources and care to provide service to our community. We ask that you would lead, guide, and direct us in all that we say and do. We ask a special prayer for our fellow Rotarian, Mr. Posey, and his wife as they move forward with her test, and ask that you would please be with them, Lord, and please just guide us to be the people that you would have us to be. In Jesus' name we pray and thank you all for all things. Amen.
Amen. And now, Lisa, could you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, please, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. I want to take just a couple of minutes here for our foundation minute. Hang on a second. Let me make sure I got this going right. Okay. Some of us have been doing this for a while. I know Kent and Michelle and I, and I think Laura and Alex. But for the foundation, there's a way you can give. recurring manner. So you go to myrotary.org, not Club Runner, myrotary.org. And for you new members, if I send out your login address for Club Runner, well, that's different than My Rotary. You need to register for My Rotary, and then you'll have access to that. And there's a lot of good information up there for those that don't know. It is kind of spinning here, but here we go. So when you get up here, if you go to the Rotary Foundation right there on the top, and then to give, ways to give, this is what I found, Michelle and I found to be the easy, just because I never remember what's going on. So scroll down and it says recurring giving. And what's neat here is you can choose how you want. Do you want the annual fund? And you can click here and it'll say, well, this is what the annual fund does. It comes back to the World Fund and district DDFs. Or you can choose Polio Fund, or you can choose World Fund. You can even choose what area you might want your money to go to. I want it to go to water, sanitation, and hygiene, whichever. Once you choose that, you scroll down, you say, it says, okay, I want to, I don't know, $100, and I'll do that every quarter, or every month, or every annually, or if you want to customize it, you can come over here with other and customize it. And once you decide that, you just fill in your credit card information, and then you forget about it after that, right? Every quarter or whatever that does, $25 or $100 goes to the foundation. That goes toward your Paul Harris. And we've been talking about Paul Harris a lot lately. So I just wanted to share that with you. I'm going to go back to sharing again. Okay, first of all, we got some members with some birthdays this month. Lisa, Chuck, John, Zane, James. I don't know if I saw him on, but his is tomorrow, looks like, and Joy. So happy birthday to the October birthday people. We won't ask for ages.
Zane's is today.
Oh, today. Oh, is it? Okay.
It was yesterday.
Birthday, Zane.
Zane was yesterday. Happy birthday, Zane. Yeah. And we talked about the last Saturday. We had another good service project there, and we've gotten to know a lot of the Douglas community people there, and it's been a blessing. So thank you for 11 members, and I don't know how many volunteers. I haven't seen Tamara's list, but it had to be another 15 or so volunteers, and so that really cranks it out quick. Thursday, I think last Thursday was our third Thursday that we work with Greek Isles. And for those that don't know, that's where we meet when we can meet. And so we try to help them out. They got great food. And so if you go on a third Thursday and mention the word Rotary, part of proceeds goes to the foundation. So we'll keep that going. Upcoming projects. So the Interact groups and the Douglas community have been working on organizing our donated shoes that are going to Central and South America. And the last I counted, we had 1,800 that we've processed, 1,800 pair of shoes. And I know last Saturday, a big truckload came up from Waco with some friends from David Evans and Tamara and them, and we took them over there. We've got some in our garage. So through the end of this month, our goal is to get to 2,500 pair. I know we've got over 2,000 now because of the ones that we just saw. So we're getting close. So everybody, like Cole said, go through your closet and see how many shoes you can find and donate them. And a lot of the money for that is going to go back to the Douglas community. So we've talked a little bit about the Halloween party coming up Wednesday. Lisa mentioned that. There's going to be more on that coming. That's actually the program next week. So stay tuned for that.
Can I say one quick thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
For veterans, I don't know if I said that. All the proceeds are going to veterans.
Yeah, right. Good catch there. And then Mike mentioned the crew, Benton's crew golf tournaments. There's still some signups there. I think we're helping with like registration and sign in, right, Benton?
Yeah.
Okay, so go up there and sign up for that. I mentioned the shoe drive. And then our pecans, we're getting close. I mean, sometimes the last week in October, they'll come in. It might be the first week in November. We're 2 or 3 weeks from getting our pecans in. So as everyone should know, and if you don't, the proceeds from the pecans goes toward our scholarships. And we gave out, I think, 5 $2,000 scholarships last year for high school seniors. So the more pecans we sell, the more we can do there. So thank you for that.
Glenn?
Yes, ma'am.
That for the first time this year, we are adding pre-orders. I assume it's on our website. But
Oh, yeah, it is.
We've already had 2 people pay for pre-orders of pecans.
Great. Thank you. Okay, we're running a little bit ahead of time, which is awesome. So I'm going to present our speaker today, Jan Sullivan. Been a member of Rotary for at least 10 years. She's a District 5810 PolioPlus chair, which I think is what she's going to talk to us about today. Rotary Foundation major donor and past president of Plano East. Jan is a retired hospital chaplain and business owner. She's graduated from the University of Kentucky and SMU, grew up in Ohio, and is married to PDG Ian Sullivan, and a friend of mine. So Jan, I'm going to stop sharing and let you take it over here.
Well, it's a real pleasure to be with your club today. I'm very honored to come talk to you about something I'm very passionate about. And for you longtime Rotarians, some of this stuff you're going to know. But knowing you have a lot of new members, I want to share Rotary's story with polio, and hope you all learn something from this. And as Glenn was so good to point out, how you can get on Rotary.org and donate, because what it takes for polio to be eradicated is money and some time. There are still not as many opportunities to do immunization for polio individually, but it does take funds to get this done. And as you'll see as I go through this, Rotary has to finish this project that we started many years ago. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, I hope. You may have to help me with this. Oh, here we go. All right, can you see this?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. The first outbreak of polio was found over 100 years ago in the state of Vermont. They had 18 deaths and 132 cases of permanent paralysis with polio. I hope all of you, unless some of you are very young like Zane, hopefully you know what polio is. Polio is a paralytic disease that affects the neuromuscular system of our body. So it's a very serious disease. By the 20s, it had taken off. If you can picture this, I cannot imagine having a room, it affected mostly children, to be in a quote ward with this many children in iron lungs, because it also could paralyze the muscles of the chest, and the children and adults who got it were unable to breathe on their own. So if you can picture living like this and having these nurses stop by to care for you through these are places they could put their hands through the sides. It's so depressing for me to look at this. Believe it or not, there are still just a handful. I think there's only about 5 left, people in the United States living in iron lungs. One of them happens to be in Dallas. His name is Paul Alexander. I have a video if we have, I think I have time to show it. I was gonna not show it, but it's very powerful to hear Paul talk. Paul is actually a Rotarian. He may be an honorary Rotarian right now, but he is a Rotarian, but he lives in this iron lung. He can get out of the iron lung for brief periods of time. We actually, a group of Rotarians took him to a district conference in Kerrville. They got a U-Haul to put the iron lung in and took him, and he actually laid at the front of our banquet hall in his iron lung and spoke to us. Had dinner with us. His caregiver fed him, but he rode down to Kerrville on oxygen, and he has to gulp air to stay alive and to communicate. But I'm gonna go. Oops, it didn't go. Hang on here.
I cannot breathe. Here. A lot of humanities does everything about polio. Doesn't even know what it is.
Paul Alexander is a polio survivor who spends nearly all day, every day, inside his iron lung at home in Dallas, Texas. The disease paralyzed Paul from the neck down, so the machine helps him breathe by using negative pressure to force his body to take in air. He was only 6 years old when he caught polio in 1952, one of the worst outbreak years in U.S. history.
When I first contracted polio, I was just a kid like everybody else, but it began to feel a little bit ill. The mom saw my face, she put me in the bed. Over the next 5 days, I lost everything. Couldn't move, couldn't walk. And finally, the last day, I couldn't breathe. My diaphragm was gone, destroyed. Like, my muscles were gone, destroyed, which left me in the iron lung for the rest of my life.
Parents were so afraid of the mysterious, deadly disease that they kept their children from playing with others. Pools, theaters, camps, even schools shut down.
Everybody was petrified in the concept of polio. It kind of dominated the summer, and parents freaked out if the kid even got the sniffles.
But just a few months after Paul contracted the disease, Jonas Salk discovered a vaccine for polio. Today, Paul is one of the last living polio survivors who has such a bad case of paralysis that he still relies on a relic of that dark time. He can leave the device only for a few hours at a time with tremendous difficulty. He relies on his longtime caretaker to do just about anything that he can't do with his own mouth.
My breathing out of the voluntary, I have to think about it. Organic slang, tired. After a while, I'll go back to work.
But the iron lung hasn't stopped Paul from living a full life. He went to law school, passed the bar exam, and started his own practice.
I've been literally thousands of clients, worried about the iron lung. They come into my office and say, who's that? And I tell them what it is. And my God, if you can handle that, you could find your way to this point. But one cut of a lung. I think nobody can do that.
The last iron lung was manufactured about half a century ago. So Paul has struggled to find people who know how to repair the antique. He became so desperate for help, his friend posted a YouTube video of Paul explaining that his iron lung was falling apart in hopes that a machinist who knew how to help would see it. But it wasn't until he met local mechanical engineer Brady Richards 2 years ago that Paul was able to stop worrying about his iron lung. This are the instructions for the day. So that's how we determine how it's supposed to work. Brady refurbished the machine in a garage where he also works on hot rods and race cars. This is the one Paul was originally in. It's getting worn out. It's leaking really bad and then producing enough pressure. That's why we took him out of this one and put him in the restored one. The biggest challenge really was the lack of parts. It wasn't the big parts, it's the small parts. Nobody's got them, so we have to make them ourselves.
My life would be down the tubes because I looked for years to find someone who knew how to work on our work.
We are barely a generation past one of our country's most frightening epidemics, so close that some of its victims are still living in the archaic machines of that era. But for many, it's a forgotten history. Polio is still a major concern in some developing countries. Some experts say it's possible a new polio epidemic could happen in the US as more and more parents are opting out of immunizing their children.
So my worst thought is that polio is to come back. If those children in Afghanistan or Pakistan or Nigeria or wherever polio is still happening, somebody carried the virus and come to America and just, in fact, one child. It only takes one child. And there's going to be another. This is the polio. It's not real.
Paul just finished writing a memoir using only his mouth. He hopes it will help people understand what it's like to live with polio and why we must continue the fight to eradicate it globally.
I've always been an inquisitive person. My parents taught me to use my intelligence and my energy to be productive. I have never thought of myself as a cripple. That's the word I choose to use because I think it covers the ground of most people's perceptions. I'm not disabled. I'm not handicapped. I'm not limited. I'm crippled. At least in most people's minds, except mine. I've experienced everything that you have to know. I'm Paul Sullivan. Human being.
It's a pretty powerful video. He's an unbelievable man. I've gotten to meet him and be around him. He's got a wonderful sense of humor. He also tells the story. He did go to SMU and he went in his early 20s. And when his parents dropped him off, they got him completely settled and left him there thinking his roommate and other people would show up soon. And no one saw him for 2 days. But he survived that and managed to finish school. Okay, the vaccine was developed in 1955 by Dr. Salk. And so immunization started around the world, mostly probably in the United States and in Europe. In 1960, the Sabin vaccine was, this was the oral vaccine. And this is the one I remember getting on our sugar cube. I know a lot of us that are older all got sugar cubes. Those of you who are younger got it by drops under your tongue as infants. I was between ages 10 and 12 when I received my sugar cubes. We went to one of the local schools and got in line and we were handed a sugar cube that had the drops in it. And we had to go twice. I remember when my kids got it, they got drops under their tongue starting at 2 months of age. So it starts out very young, and nowadays that's exactly what happens is the babies get it with drops under their tongues. 1979, a Rotary Club in the Philippines wondered if they could start doing immunizations for polio to see what they could do. And they managed to immunize 6 million children in the Philippines. And with Philippines being an island, they managed to eradicate polio in the Philippines. They took this project to Rotary International, and Rotary International launched PolioPlus. At that time, in like 86, there were 350,000 cases of polio in 125 countries. So it was worldwide, and they started out wanting to raise $120 million. And they did, and they actually surpassed that goal. In 1988, they joined with the World Health Organization to form a group called the Global Polio Eradication Initiative. And here are all these cases of polio around the world. So Rotary joined together. By 1994, just 6 years later, the Americas, from Canada, Central America, South America, were all polio free. So we were seeing that it could be done. By 2000, which it's hard to believe it's been 20 years ago now, they had gotten the Pacific Rim polio free, including China. Think about that, how many, 1 billion people live there. China is polio free 20 years ago. In 2003, they set another goal to raise $119 million. And they had already, by then, Rotarians had already given $500 million. And there were 6 countries that still had polio. In 2004, Africa worked with immunization days, and this is where they send in teams. And this is what we used to be able to participate in. But with COVID and not being able to leave the country, we haven't been able as Rotarians to participate in immunization days. So they were targeting 23 countries with 80 million children, basically in one day. There was a point in time where they had one where they did 2 million children in one day in India. Rotary then had, by now in 2009, had given $800 million. And this isn't Rotary, this is Rotarians. 2009, the Gates Foundation entered the fight, along with UNICEF. The Global Eradication Initiative is Rotary, WHO, UNICEF, and the Gates Foundation. And they issued Rotary another $200 million challenge. And we did it. In 2011, this was a wonderful, fun campaign. You could go to the International Convention and get your picture taken in front of this big poster they had. And we could all say we're this close. Because by then, we were down to just 3 countries trying to get this finished. They got India done. They never thought they would get India polio free, but it is. And by now, Rotarians in 2011 had given over $1 billion. Here's India, polio free the next year. In order to be polio free, you have to be polio free for 3 years before they will declare you polio free. But this is amazing. They're down to 1%. It's actually a little less than that now. Since 1988, when we really got started on all this, when we had 350,000 cases. Today, they got rid of type 2, was declared eradicated in 2015. Type 3 was eradicated in 2012. But as of last Friday, when I get reports every week, and that's the most recent information I have is last Friday, or the 15th anyway, Pakistan, there's only 2 countries that still have polio, and it's Pakistan and Afghanistan. Pakistan had 77 cases so far this year. They had 147 last year. Afghanistan has 52 cases this year so far, with only 29 in 2019. So these 2 countries have actually flip-flopped in who was higher. The sad thing that really, really depressed me this last 2 years is we literally had like 30 cases around the world 2 years ago. 2 years ago. I mean, it looked like it was going to be gone in 2019, and it spiked again. And so we're still fighting. Nigeria was declared polio free in August. They had gone 3 years without any polio. So the continent of Africa is now polio free. Something for you to know that Pakistan just this week is having a campaign to vaccinate 39 children with 8,150 teams of people. And of the 39 million people, 699,762 are 0-dose children. They haven't had any doses at all. So this is almost 700,000 children that they are going to immunize this week that have never gotten any of the drops yet. So this is important to hear, that Pakistan, with the high numbers, is going out in a huge immunization drive. It's set to end the 25th of October. This is something I wanted to share with you a little bit. This comes up on the statistics I get every month. And this is 436 cases of what's called vaccine-derived poliovirus. It's sort of scientific, but I want you to understand, because when I first saw this, it concerned me a lot, but you have to understand what it is. The oral polio vaccine, it's called OPV, that they use, contains a weakened vaccine virus, and it activates an immune response in the body. So when a child is immunized with OPV, the weakened vaccine virus replicates in the intestine, and this is a waterborne feces-driven disease. This vaccine replicates in the intestine for a limited period of time. And then it helps the body build up immunities to this. Also during this time, it's excreted. And this is why one of the other large focuses of Rotary is hygiene and sanitation. It all plays together, and we know that. And we know that, having lived through this COVID epidemic, that if we don't keep good personal hygiene and have good sanitation, the virus any illness will continue to be spread. And this is why when they talk about polio, they also do water samples in the running and drinking water, the streams in the areas, because that's where people, do their personal habits, and it's obviously not healthy, but it's part of it. And that's why this virus spreads so rapidly in these areas. So this excreted vaccine that has been in the intestines is excreted, and it spreads to the immediate community. It can also offer protection to other children through a passive immunization. But there are rare occasions if a population is severely under-immunized, this excreted vaccine virus can continue to circulate for a long period of time. And the longer it's allowed to survive, the more genetic changes it undergoes. And in rare instances, the vaccine virus can genetically change to go back to the form that paralyzes. And this is why we talk about these kinds of cases. They, in a sense, this has a lot of positive effects. You know, it can help immunize other children, but it also can have a detrimental effect if it's left in the area too long and can genetically mutate. So they're getting ready to change the type of vaccine they're using. It's more expensive, but it'll also eliminate this issue as we go forward trying to eradicate the disease. They don't count these statistics the same way they do the others because these vaccine derived cases are actually in most countries. We don't have it in the United States, but it's all over Africa, all over the Middle East, some of the island countries. It's still around. It's a very long list of countries that actually have the vaccine derived cases because of the type of vaccine they use. The other thing to mention is the plus in PolioPlus. And it's neat that when they set this up so many years ago that they put the word plus in there because there have been many positive offshoots from the polio drives. One, a container was developed that because the vaccine has to be refrigerated. You can see this lady here with the blue cooler. They found a way to keep, and you know, Rotarians, they'll find a way. Well, they found a way to keep the vaccine cold. And so these mostly women that go into these villages can carry these coolers and keep the vaccine cold. The other thing that comes from this is the disease, you know, way diseases are spread. The work that Rotary has done with malaria. And in order to counteract malaria, we need malaria nets. So a lot of times when they have polio immunization days, they also pass out malaria nets, mosquito nets, to stop mosquitoes from infecting people with malaria. They also, in these same polio drives, teach people about sanitation. Last week was World Hand Washing Day on October 15th. All these things play together. Sanitation, hygiene, maternal health, child health, everything plays together. So it's so important that these are two areas of Rotary's focus all the time. And so we're working on constantly trying to make life better for people in our world. It's just a very powerful message that we are getting out across the world. And we all know, and we've now experienced it and lived it with the COVID. We know how easily COVID has been spread. Well, we know the number of people in our country alone who have stopped vaccinating their children. Polio is still one airplane ride away from reinfecting this country. United States was without measles for 11 years. And in the last 2 years, it has come back, and we had it in Benton County and I think some in Collin County. I heard a statistic from someone who worked in a public health arena that there are thousands of children in Collin County who are not vaccinated. And we all know that there's circumstances when some children can't be. But I'm sorry, there are people choosing not to vaccinate their children. It's not true that it causes autism. That doctor has been banned, barred, everything that came out with that comment. But these people that aren't vaccinating their children against childhood diseases, we don't want that to happen to anybody. And you can see what polio does. It's devastating and deadly, just like measles can be. You know, we don't think anything of it. We haven't seen it forever in the United States since we were kids. And we're those of us who are in our late 60s, 70s, 80s all saw that devastation. We went to school with kids who'd gotten polio. We grew up, my best friend's older brother got it and had a withered arm. One of our past district governors, Richard Gilman, is a polio survivor and has a misshapen arm from it. And then there's the people that you don't see that had it that don't have physical effects you can see, but are not, that had it, but are getting secondary polio now. So this disease hasn't stopped. It has not stopped. With that, I'll end this presentation. While I have the floor, I'm going to make one push. I didn't do this during Bragg's, but Plano East Rotary is going to fly its 1,000 Flags Veterans Week. We moved our location. We're going to be at the corner of Spring Creek and Preston on the southwest corner. We've had to modify our program a lot due to safety and concerns about the flags themselves. It's post-election time. But we're going to be out there. We may be setting them up and tearing them down every day, but we're going to be out there for at least 3 days that I'm aware of right now. And so watch for us around Veterans Day. We'll be out the corner of Spring Creek and Preston, and I hope you come out or even get online. We're going to have a running program online, a virtual program, and you can still honor or remember a veteran or first responder on our website, planoflagsofhonor.org. Thank you. It's been great to be with you. I love your club.
Thank you, Jan. Any questions? Jan, could you end sharing?
Jan, very good program, but I also want to mention there were so many deaths that occurred because of polio. 2 of my high school friends died of polio when I was in high school, and I did see exhibits when I was up there with my father at the first International Poliomyelitis Convention in New York City in the early 1950s, and saw a lot of the exhibits and what was going on, and everybody was working as hard as they could at that time to try to save lives and protect people and get a vaccine. But it was a very deadly disease, and in Texas and across the country too.
Any other questions? I know, Jan, you might remember Michelle and I were down there at Kerrville. So the whole Paul Anderson thing, it's very, very powerful.
Jan, this is James Thomas. Very informative. For the life of me, I cannot remember why we had to take the little sugar thing when I was growing up. Okay, not that I'm that old because I'm only 37, but I cannot remember why we had to take the little sugar thing. Thank you for reminding me of that. My father-in-law, I know that he ended up with polio. He lived in right outside of Cincinnati. He ended up going to Kent State, but he had polio. He's still doing well. He's 80 something, doing great. But I, for the life of me, could not remember why we had to do the sugar thing.
That's what I'm saying. You were a young boy eating your sugar cube. And what was funny, my mother passed away in April, and just prior to that, she'd been cleaning out some things. She found our family's polio records. She kept them all these years. Yeah,
Well,
but I remember getting my sugar cube because I was older. So
I remember getting my sugar cube too. And my aunt had polio, wore a brace her whole life, which brought it to light. My best friend today, who's the voice of the Temple Owls, he had polio and limps and everything. He couldn't play sports, so he took up broadcasting and done very well in it. And then my daughter, when she was at Duke, we had the privilege of meeting Jonas Salk. And time with, what a great guy, obviously.
Wow.
What he did. Yeah.
That's the thing. Anybody in our generation usually will have known someone who had it. We just do. It touched everybody. And then, 10 years before Paul Alexander got it, or a little before that, President of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, got it.
Right.
So, and he hid it, tried to hide it, I think, publicly when he spoke and things like that, but he got it and was paralyzed in his legs.
Well, hopefully COVID goes the same way polio does, and we find a cure for that.
I would say it's all back to vaccines.
Yeah.
And hand hygiene and sanitation. I mean, it's hand hygiene and our masks are the most important thing to do right now.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jan. I'm going to share my screen here again, if I can. So Jan, you've probably seen these before, but one thing we do to honor our presenters is we give $10 in your name to PolioPlus Fund. And as you know, together with the 2-to-1 matching funds from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the 1-to-1 for Rotary Foundation, your $40 will provide polio vaccine for about 66 children. So thank you
so much. Is Rotary Foundation still doing the match?
As far as I know, they are, yes.
Okay. I just hadn't looked it up lately to see if
last we looked at what they were. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
But thank you so much. That means the world to me.
Okay, so coming up next week, well, actually this Saturday, I think, right? 24th is World Polio Day. So I showed you kind of how you might be able to go up and start giving to the foundation to get us through this last little part of eradicating polio. And Lisa, we may have 1 minute if you want to say anything more about the Halloween party. I know you're the program next week, but for one thing, where do people bring the wine, Lisa?
They can bring it to Greek Isle, although Michelle is collecting the wine. I'm collecting the auction items.
Okay.
But I think it might be easier for people just because they know where Greek Isle is to bring it in there.
Okay.
Or get it to Michelle if you know where Michelle lives. So.
Okay. I do know where she lives.
I bet you do. Very close.
Okay, great. This is good timing and a great program. I'm gonna turn this over to Randall, who is going to lead us in the 4-way test.
Please join me as we recite the 4-way test for Rotary. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Rotary.
Rotary.
Hang on, I'm trying to get to where I can, there we go. Okay, thanks everyone. Thank you.
Glenn, thank you for taking care of this.
Bye. Thank you, Glenn.
And by
Thank
the way,
you, Glenn.
my boys said they loved all of you, meeting all of you on Saturday, and they were just so impressed by all of you. Fred, thank you guys so very much for welcoming my crew. Zane, thank you guys.
It was fun to meet them.
Have a good week.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Jan. Thanks again, Jan.